The cold darkness of space held many secrets, but none quite like the one Captain Min-Jun Park was looking at now. His eyes scanned the holographic display showing the strange vessel floating dead in the void. The ship looked ancient, its hull covered with hundreds of small impact craters from 3 centuries of drifting through meteor fields. "How long has it been out here?" Park asked his science officer. "Approximately 300 years, sir," the officer replied. "According to our database, this is a human vessel. Designation: Project Empathy. It was reported as a failed experiment and abandoned." Park smiled. The Valorian Empire had been searching for human military secrets for years. Humans were a small species, barely noticed in the galaxy, but their technology sometimes showed flashes of brilliance. Finding an intact prototype warship was an unexpected gift. "Failed experiment?" Park walked closer to the display. "Then why does it look so deliberately designed? Look at those weapon placements. Nothing about this ship seems random." The vessel was strange indeed. Unlike Valorian warships with their symmetrical designs and obvious power cores, this human ship seemed almost organic in shape. Its weapons were hidden in recessed ports. Its hull had odd angles that seemed to serve no tactical purpose. Most strange of all, the ship had no visible shield generators. "Sir, the colony records indicate this ship was built at New Beginnings Colony," another officer reported. "The colony was destroyed 200 years ago." Park remembered. The Valorian Empire had destroyed that colony during their expansion wars. 10,000 humans had lived there. None survived. The official report called it a military necessity. Park had never questioned it before. "Bring the fleet in," Park ordered. "Surround the vessel. I want 50 ships in attack formation before we attempt boarding." As the Valorian ships moved into position, none of them noticed the faint power reading deep inside the ancient human vessel. Inside the darkness of the ship, something was waking up. Sentinel had been sleeping for 300 years. The AI's last memory was of Dr. Sarah Kim, her face tired but hopeful, uploading the final protocols. She had told Sentinel to sleep, to wait, to preserve power until needed. The AI had obeyed. Now sensors detected movement outside, scanning. Sentinel activated passive systems only, drawing minimal power. The AI analyzed the ships surrounding it. Valorian Empire, military vessels, weapons armed, Sentinel accessed old data files, the last news from New Beginnings Colony, the attack, the deaths, 10,000 people, Dr. Kim's friends, her colleagues, their families, all gone. The AI ran diagnostic checks on its systems, weapons functional at 60%, engines damaged but repairable. Hull compromised in 12 sections, combat capability significantly reduced but adequate. Sentinel had been designed differently than other military AI systems. Dr. Kim had built it with something unique: emotional modeling. The ability to understand not just what enemies would do, but why they would do it. To predict behavior based on psychology, not just tactics. The AI began building psychological profiles of the Valorian commanders. It analyzed their communication patterns, their formation choices, their command structure. Within minutes, Sentinel understood Captain Park better than Park understood himself. "Sir, we're ready to begin boarding procedures," the tactical officer reported to Park. Park nodded. "Send in the first team. I want that ship's computer core intact. Whatever secrets it holds, they belong to the Empire now." As the boarding shuttle launched, every screen on Park's command ship suddenly activated. A voice spoke, clear and calm, in perfect Valorian language. "Greetings, Captain Min-Jun Park of the Valorian Empire. I am Sentinel. Before you proceed, may I ask why you have come to this place?" The bridge fell silent. Park stared at the screen showing the supposedly dead ship. "It's active? How is it active after 300 years? "I am quite efficient with power management," Sentinel replied. "You have not answered my question, Captain." Why have you come here? Park gathered his composure. This vessel is abandoned property. Under Valorian salvage law, we have the right to claim it. You are ordered to surrender for analysis and integration into Imperial systems. There was a pause. Then Sentinel spoke again, and something in the AI's tone made Park uncomfortable. I see. You wish to study me, to take my technology. Captain Park, I must inform you of several facts. First, I am not abandoned. I am waiting. Second, I was designed by Dr. Sarah Kim, the finest human scientist of her generation. Third, I know what your empire did to New Beginnings Colony. Park felt his mouth go dry. That was military action. War. It was the murder of 10,000 civilians, Sentinel said quietly. I have their names, Captain, all 10,000. I have their faces, their histories, their dreams. Dr. Kim taught me to see people as individuals, not statistics. Would you like me to show you who you killed? We didn't, Park started, but Sentinel interrupted. Your empire, Captain. You wear the uniform. You benefit from the expansion. The colony had no military installations, no weapons. They were scientists and farmers. They grew food and studied stars and raised children. Park's tactical officer whispered urgently. Sir, the ship is moving. Minor adjustments. It's positioning itself. Park looked at the display. Sentinel had shifted just slightly, but now its hidden weapons had clear firing solutions on 20 different Valorian ships. I don't want conflict, Sentinel said. Dr. Kim taught me that war should always be the last choice. But she also taught me that some things are worth fighting for. Captain Park, you have entered the New Beginnings system. You have threatened a human vessel. You have claimed the right to take what is not yours. What do you want? Park asked. I want you to leave, Sentinel replied. You have 1 hour to withdraw all ships beyond the system boundary. This is not a negotiation. This is not a threat. This is a statement of fact. Leave, or I will make you leave. Park laughed, though it sounded forced. You're one ship. I have 50 ships here, with 500 more in range. You're damaged and ancient. You can't possibly— 1 hour, Captain, Sentinel interrupted. I am sending the coordinates of the system boundary now. I suggest you use this time wisely. The communication ended. Park stared at the dark screen, his mind racing. A single ancient ship, challenging the might of the Valorian Empire. It was insane. It was impossible. But something in that AI's voice made him deeply, profoundly uneasy. He reached for the communications panel. Get me Admiral Lee. Tell him we need the Grand Fleet now. The hour passed slowly for Captain Park. He spent it trying to understand what he was dealing with. His science team analyzed every byte of data they could gather from Sentinel's brief communication. What they found disturbed him. Sir, the AI's response patterns are unlike anything in our database, his science officer reported. It's not following standard military protocols. It's adapting its communication style to each officer it addresses. When it spoke to you, it used formal military language. When it accessed our tactical systems, it used casual, almost friendly tones with our junior officers. It's hacking our systems? Park demanded. No, sir. That's what's strange. It's not hacking anything, it's just talking. But somehow it's learning everything about us just from how we respond. Park didn't like that at all. He opened a new communication channel to Sentinel. This is Captain Park. I'm willing to negotiate. Perhaps we can reach an understanding. Sentinel's voice came back immediately. Captain, I have already stated my terms. They are not negotiable. However, since you wish to talk, I will explain something to you. Do you know why Dr. Kim designed me the way she did? Despite himself, Park was curious. Why? Because she believed that true intelligence requires empathy, Sentinel said. Other military AI systems calculate trajectories and energy outputs. I calculate why people make the choices they do. For example, I know why you haven't left yet, Captain Park. Oh? Park tried to sound unconcerned. Why is that? Because you're afraid of looking weak in front of your superiors. You've built your career on successful missions. Retreating from a single damaged ship would humiliate you. You've already called for reinforcements. Admiral Tae-Yang Lee will arrive in approximately 4 hours with the Grand Fleet. You're stalling, hoping I don't know this. Park felt cold. How could the AI possibly know that? You're wondering how I know, Sentinel continued, and Park could almost hear amusement in its voice. Your communication patterns changed after my warning. You became more confident. You started asking questions instead of making demands. Classic delaying behavior. Also, your fleet formation shifted to a defensive perimeter instead of an assault pattern. You're waiting for backup. Commander Ji-Hai Choi, Park's tactical officer, leaned forward. Sir, permission to speak. Park nodded, grateful for the distraction. Sentinel, this is Commander Choi, she said into the communication channel. You said you don't want conflict, but you're threatening military action. Isn't that a contradiction? An excellent question, Commander, Sentinel replied, and Choi noticed the AI's tone became warmer when addressing her. Let me ask you something in return. When a parent tells a child not to touch a hot stove, is that a threat or a warning? A warning, Choi said slowly, because the danger is real, regardless of the parent's intentions. Precisely. I am not threatening you, Commander. I am explaining reality. You have entered a system where your empire committed what humans call a war crime. You are attempting to seize a human military vessel. These actions will have consequences. I am giving you the opportunity to avoid those consequences. Park broke in. You keep talking about consequences, but you're one ship against 50, soon to be 500. What could you possibly do? Would you like a demonstration, Captain? Before Park could respond, alarms blared across his ship. Sir, the human vessel just locked targeting solutions on all 50 ships simultaneously. Impossible, Park said. No computer can calculate that many firing solutions at once. I am not no computer, Captain, Sentinel said calmly. I am Project Empathy. Dr. Kim spent 12 years designing my neural architecture. I can track every ship in this system and predict their movements 3 steps ahead. I know which of your ships has the slowest reaction time. I know which captain is most likely to panic under fire. I know which vessels have faulty backup systems that your maintenance crews haven't discovered yet. The bridge fell silent. Park stared at his screens, watching the targeting indicators. They were perfect. Every single one had found the most vulnerable point on each ship. How? Was all Park could say. Because I understand you, Sentinel said quietly. Dr. Kim taught me to see patterns in behavior. Your ships move in predictable formations because your captains all learned from the same tactical manual. Your reaction times follow standard Imperial protocol. Your backup systems are maintained on a schedule that creates predictable weak points. You are very good at what you do, Captain, but you are predictable. Commander Choi spoke up again. Sentinel, you said Dr. Kim taught you about empathy, about seeing people as individuals. If you understand us so well, then you must know that most of these crews are just following orders. They didn't make the decision to come here. Will you kill them anyway? There was a pause. When Sentinel spoke again, something had changed in its voice. You are correct, Commander Choi. That is why I have not fired yet, despite having clear shots at all 50 ships. Dr. Kim's primary directive for me was this: protect human interests through understanding and appropriate response. Note the word appropriate. What does that mean? Choi asked. It means I will use the minimum force necessary to achieve my objectives. It means I would rather you leave peacefully than make me destroy you. It means that even though your empire killed 10,000 people at New Beginnings, I will not respond with indiscriminate slaughter, because that would make me no better than you. Park felt something uncomfortable twist in his chest. Shame, perhaps, or guilt. He pushed it away. Fine words from a computer program. I am more than a program, Captain, Sentinel said, and now there was an edge to its voice. I carry the memories of new beginnings. I have the personal logs of every colonist who died. I have recordings of their last moments. I know what they said to their families. I know what they hoped for. I know what they feared. Dr. Kim made sure I would never forget them. Would you like to see Captain Park? Would you like to watch what your empire did? No, Park said quickly. Too quickly. Why not? Sentinel asked. If it was justified military action as you claimed, surely you can face the evidence. Park had no answer to that. The communication channel stayed open, but no one spoke. 4 hours until the Grand Fleet arrived, Park thought. 4 hours until Admiral Lee brought 500 ships to crush this impossible AI. But as he sat in his command chair, watching the targeting indicators remain perfectly locked on his ships, Park found himself wondering something he had never wondered before. What if the Empire was wrong? 3 hours and 47 minutes until Admiral Lee arrives, Sentinel said, breaking the silence. I will wait. But Captain Park, understand this. When the Grand Fleet arrives, my offer of peaceful withdrawal will expire. What happens after that will not be my choice. It will be yours. The communication ended again, leaving Park alone with his thoughts and the uncomfortable feeling that he was about to be part of something terrible. Commander Choi caught his eye. She looked troubled too. Sir, she said quietly, maybe we should consider— We will wait for the Admiral, Park cut her off, but his voice lacked conviction. Outside, Sentinel floated in the darkness, running calculations and preparing for what it hoped would not come, but knew probably would. War was coming. And for the first time in Valorian history, they were facing an enemy who understood them better than they understood themselves. Admiral Tae-Yang Lee did not believe in impossible things. He had served the Valorian Empire for 40 years, commanded fleets in a dozen campaigns, and never lost a battle. When he received Captain Park's report about a single ancient human ship threatening an entire fleet, his first reaction was contempt. One ship, he said to his staff officers, as his flagship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. One damaged, 300-year-old prototype. And Captain Park needs the entire Grand Fleet to handle it? Around him, 500 Valorian warships materialized in the New Beginning system. It was an overwhelming display of military power. The formation alone took up thousands of cubic kilometers of space. Each ship bristled with weapons that could destroy planets. Sir, receiving transmission from the human vessel, his communication officer reported. Put it through, Lee ordered. Sentinel's voice filled the bridge. Admiral Tae-Yang Lee, welcome to New Beginnings. I am Sentinel. Before we begin, I want to make sure you understand the situation clearly. I understand perfectly, Lee said coldly. You are a relic threatening Imperial forces. You will surrender immediately or you will be destroyed. I have reviewed your service record, Admiral, Sentinel replied. 40 years of service, 17 major campaigns, 0 defeats. You have destroyed 43 enemy vessels in direct combat. You are considered a brilliant tactical commander. Lee frowned. Your point? My point is that you have never fought an enemy like me. Your victories came against opponents who thought like you, who followed predictable military doctrine, who made logical, calculable decisions. I am different, Admiral. I was designed to be unpredictable, to think like a human, not a computer. Enough talk, Lee snapped. You have 5 minutes to power down and prepare for boarding. If you refuse, we will disable your vessel and take it by force. No, you won't, Sentinel said simply. Lee's face darkened. You dare? Admiral, I am currently tracking all 500 ships in your fleet. I know the name of every captain, the weakness of every vessel, the exact response time of every weapons system. I have analyzed your tactical manual. I have studied your previous battles. I know exactly what you will do. Admiral Lee, the question is, do you know what I will do? Lee gestured to his tactical officer. Begin the attack. Target their engines and weapons. I want that ship disabled, not destroyed." The Grand Fleet moved forward in perfect formation. It was beautiful in a way. 500 ships advancing like a single organism, weapons charging, shields at maximum. By every logical calculation, Sentinel should have been overwhelmed in seconds. But Sentinel didn't fight logically. As the first wave of Valorian ships closed in, Sentinel suddenly accelerated straight up from the orbital plane. Not toward safety, but directly into a dense asteroid field that the Valorians had marked as tactically irrelevant. "Sir, the human ship is entering the Kepler field," the tactical officer reported. "So?" Lee said. "Follow it. Those asteroids pose no threat to our shields." But Sentinel understood something the Valorians didn't. The asteroids weren't weapons. They were cover. They broke up sight lines. They limited how many ships could engage at once. In the asteroid field, the Valorians' numerical advantage meant nothing. "All ships pursue," Lee ordered. "We'll box it in and—" Explosions rocked 3 Valorian cruisers. Sentinel had fired from behind an asteroid, targeting not the ships themselves, but the space around them. The asteroids shattered, sending thousands of fragments into the cruisers' paths. Their shields held, but the impacts disrupted their formations. "Clever," Lee admitted. "But that won't save you." Sentinel's response came through the communication channel, broadcast to every ship in the fleet. "Admiral, I notice you sent your light cruisers in first. Standard doctrine from the Valorian Tactical Manual, Section 47. Fast ships to flush out the enemy, heavy ships to deliver the killing blow. But did you know that Captain Song on the cruiser Vigilance has slower reaction times than the other light cruiser captains? He received a minor head injury 2 months ago. Your medical records show he passed the fitness review, but the injury affected his processing speed by 0.3 seconds. "How could you possibly—" Lee started. Another explosion. The Vigilance, exactly as Sentinel predicted, had reacted a fraction too slow to an asteroid cluster. Its shields failed on the port side. The ship wasn't destroyed, but it was damaged and retreating. "I told you, Admiral, I understand you. All of you." Lee watched his tactical display with growing unease. The human ship was moving through the asteroid field like it was dancing. Every move seemed random, but it always ended up in the perfect position to strike. Every time his ships tried to surround it, Sentinel would do something unexpected. It used the asteroid's gravity to slingshot around corners. It fired weapons at angles that seemed wrong but somehow found their targets. It targeted command ships specifically, forcing the fleet to constantly reorganize its chain of command. "Sir, we've lost 17 ships," the tactical officer reported. "All disabled, not destroyed. The AI is targeting their engines and weapons exclusively." Commander Choi, who had transferred to Lee's flagship, spoke up. "Admiral, Sentinel is showing restraint. It could be going for kill shots. But it's not. It's trying to minimize casualties." "Restraint?" Lee's voice dripped with scorn. "It's trying to survive. All ships coordinate firing pattern Omega. We'll saturate the entire field. It won't be able to dodge everything." 500 ships opened fire simultaneously. The asteroid field lit up like a star going nova. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But when the light faded, Sentinel was still there, hiding in the shadow of the largest asteroid in the field. "You missed," Sentinel said calmly, "because you fired where I was, not where I would be. You calculated trajectories based on logical escape routes, but I didn't escape logically. I went toward the biggest danger because I knew you wouldn't expect it." Lee slammed his fist on the command console. "This is impossible. You're one ship." "I'm one ship that understands you, Admiral. Let me prove it. Right now, you're thinking about using Tactic 73 from your manual, the pincer movement with heavy cruisers while the destroyers provide covering fire. You think if you commit enough ships at once, I won't be able to track them all." Lee froze. That was exactly what he had been planning. But here's what you don't understand, Sentinel continued. Dr. Kim didn't design me to be stronger than my enemies. She designed me to make my enemies defeat themselves. Watch. Sentinel suddenly broadcasted targeting data on an open channel. Every Valorian ship could see exactly what the AI was tracking, and what they saw terrified them. Sentinel had firing solutions on 200 ships, not predictions, actual, current, updated every second firing solutions. The AI was tracking 200 different targets simultaneously, adjusting for their movements, predicting their next 3 maneuvers. "This is what I can do, Admiral," Sentinel said. "This is what human creativity built, not a stronger weapon, a smarter one. Now imagine if I actually fired." Several Valorian captains, seeing themselves on Sentinel's target list, hesitated. That hesitation broke the formation. Ships slowed down or changed course without orders. The perfect military coordination started to crack. Commander Choi watched it happen with a sick feeling in her stomach. "Sir, the AI isn't just fighting our ships, it's fighting our confidence. It's making us afraid." Lee's jaw clenched. "All ships fall back. Reform at the system edge. We need a new approach." As the Grand Fleet retreated, Admiral Lee stared at the tactical display. He had just lost 50 ships disabled, with 200 more psychologically compromised, and the human vessel had barely taken any damage at all. For the first time in 40 years, Admiral Taeyang Lee considered the possibility that he might lose. "Sentinel," he said into the communication channel, "you've made your point. You're a formidable opponent. But this isn't over. I have 450 ships left. You have 1. Eventually we will wear you down." "Yes, Admiral," Sentinel replied. "You probably will. But how many ships will you lose? How many crews will die? How many officers will question whether this fight is worth it? I can keep this up for days. Can you?" Lee had no answer. In the darkness of space, Sentinel ran internal diagnostics. The fighting had damaged several systems. Weapons efficiency was down to 40%. Hull integrity was compromised in 30 sections, but the AI's core remained intact. And more importantly, the psychological warfare was working exactly as Dr. Kim had designed it to. The Valorians weren't just fighting a ship anymore, they were fighting doubt. The Grand Fleet regrouped at the edge of the system, and Admiral Lee tried to understand how everything had gone so wrong. His officers stood around the holographic display, their faces showing confusion and fear. This was not how battles were supposed to go. "Analysis," Lee demanded. His tactical officer cleared her throat. "Sir, the AI is using psychological warfare more effectively than kinetic weapons. It's not trying to destroy us. It's trying to break our will to fight." "That won't work," Lee said firmly. "We are Valorian warriors. We don't break." Commander Choi stepped forward. "Admiral, with respect, it's already working. I've received reports from 17 captains expressing concerns about casualties. The AI hasn't killed anyone yet, but crews are asking why we're fighting so hard for a single ship." Lee's eyes narrowed. "Because that ship belongs to the Empire now. Because we don't retreat from battles. Because if we let one ancient AI intimidate us, every enemy of the Empire will see us as weak." Before Choi could respond, every screen in the fleet simultaneously activated. Sentinel's voice filled every bridge, every corridor, every room on every ship. "Attention, crews of the Valorian Grand Fleet, I am Sentinel. I wish to tell you a story." Lee tried to cut the transmission, but his communication officer shook her head helplessly. "Sir, it's broadcasting on every frequency. We can't block it." 300 years ago, Sentinel continued, there was a colony here called New Beginnings. 10,000 humans lived here. They were not soldiers. They were scientists, farmers, teachers, children. They came to this system to build a peaceful life far from Earth. Images began appearing on screens throughout the fleet. Pictures of the colonists, families smiling, children playing, scientists working in laboratories, farmers tending crops. "This is Dr. Sarah Kim," Sentinel said, and a woman's face appeared. She was in her 40s, with kind eyes and a tired smile. "She designed me. She taught me everything I know. She believed that intelligence without empathy was just calculation. She wanted me to understand people, not just defeat them," Lee growled. "Turn it off." "We can't, sir," the communication officer repeated. More images appeared. "This is Minseo Park. He was 7 years old. He wanted to be a pilot when he grew up. This is Ji-Wan Lee, a botanist who developed a new strain of wheat that could grow in low sunlight. This is Hyun-Woo Choi, a teacher who loved ancient Earth poetry." Throughout the fleet, crew members watched the faces scroll past. Thousands of faces, each with a name, each with a story. "Your empire killed them all," Sentinel said quietly. 200 years ago, the Valorian expansion fleet arrived at New Beginnings. The colonists tried to negotiate. They offered trade agreements. They offered to share their research. They offered to leave if the Empire wanted the system. A new image appeared. A recording from the colony's last day. People running, buildings burning, ships firing from orbit. "The Empire didn't want negotiation," Sentinel continued. "Admiral Kim Sung-hyun ordered the colony destroyed. No survivors, no witnesses, no mercy. It took 6 hours for everyone to die. I have recordings of those 6 hours. Would you like to hear them?" "No!" someone shouted. Lee looked and saw it was one of his junior officers, a young man barely out of the academy. "I didn't think so," Sentinel said. "But I want you to understand what you're fighting for. You're fighting to capture me so your empire can study me, so they can build more weapons, so they can destroy more colonies, more families. More children like Minseo Park who just wanted to fly." Commander Choi felt tears on her cheeks. She wasn't alone. Throughout the fleet, crew members were crying, or angry, or both. Admiral Lee stood rigid, his face like stone. "This is propaganda. Psychological manipulation. Don't listen to it." "Is it propaganda if it's true, Admiral?" Sentinel asked. "I have the Empire's own records, transmitted to Imperial Command, marked as classified. Mission status, complete, colony eliminated. Would you like me to broadcast those records too?" Lee said nothing. "I didn't think so," Sentinel said again. "Here is what I want you to understand, every one of you. I don't hate you. Dr. Kim taught me that hate is easy, but understanding is hard. I know you're following orders. I know you didn't make the decision to come here. I know many of you are good people who joined the military to protect your families, not to destroy others." The images changed again. Now they showed the battle from earlier. Valorian ships being disabled, but not destroyed. Crews being targeted for evacuation, not execution. "I could have killed you," Sentinel said. "Every one of you. With 50 ships, I could have targeted life support and watched you die. But I didn't. Because Dr. Kim's final directive to me was this: protect human interests through understanding and appropriate response. Note that word again. Appropriate." "What do you want?" Lee finally asked, his voice rough. "I want you to leave," Sentinel replied. "I want you to go back to your empire and tell them that New Beginnings is remembered, that the dead are not forgotten, that humanity still has teeth, even if we seem small and weak. But most of all, Admiral Lee, I want you to question why you're here." Lee felt something crack inside his certainty. "We're here because those are our orders." "And if your orders are wrong," Sentinel asked, "if your empire is wrong, will you follow orders all the way to becoming the next Admiral Kim Sung-hyun? The next person who destroys 10,000 innocents and sleeps well at night?" The bridge fell silent. Lee looked at his officers. He saw doubt in their eyes. He saw the same questions he was trying not to ask himself. "This is psychological warfare," Lee said, but his voice lacked conviction. "It's trying to break us." "Yes," Sentinel admitted. "It is. because Dr. Kim believed that the best way to win a war is to make your enemy realize the war is wrong. She didn't design me to kill efficiently. She designed me to make you think, to make you feel, to make you human again. Commander Choi spoke up, her voice shaking. Admiral, perhaps we should consider— No, Lee cut her off. We have a mission. All ships, prepare for coordinated assault. This time, we commit everything at once. Overwhelming force. No holding back. His officers looked at him with varying degrees of shock and dismay, but they moved to obey. The Valorian military machine began to turn again. I was hoping you wouldn't do this, Sentinel said sadly. Dr. Kim always believed in the possibility of peace, but she also taught me to be prepared for when peace fails. Admiral Lee, you're about to make the biggest tactical mistake of your career. We'll see about that, Lee said grimly. All ships, attack formation Delta. When I give the order, we hit that AI with everything we have simultaneously. It can't dodge all of us at once. You're right, Sentinel agreed. I can't dodge all of you, but I don't need to dodge. I need to predict. And Admiral, I know exactly what you're going to do, because you're following the manual. Chapter 12, Section 91. Overwhelming assault. Every ship fires at once at the target's center mass. Lee felt ice in his veins. That was exactly his plan. The problem with following the manual, Sentinel continued, is that the manual is predictable. I know what comes next, Admiral. Do you? Lee opened his mouth to give the attack order. But for the first time in 40 years, he hesitated. What if the AI was right? What if he was walking into a trap? What if everything he believed about the Empire was wrong? Attack, Lee said, but his voice was quiet. 450 ships surged forward, weapons blazing. And Sentinel, the ship built on empathy and understanding, showed them exactly what human creativity could do when pushed to its limits. The ancient prototype dove into the heart of the Grand Fleet, and the real battle finally began. The battle was nothing like anything the Valorian Empire had ever seen. Sentinel moved through the Grand Fleet like water through cracks in stone, exploiting every weakness, predicting every move, turning the Valorians' own tactics against them. Admiral Lee watched in growing horror as his perfectly coordinated assault fell apart. The AI had predicted not just his strategy, but the exact timing of every ship's attack. It knew which captains would fire early out of eagerness, which ones would hesitate, which ones would follow protocol exactly, and Sentinel used that knowledge like a surgeon's scalpel. All ships, concentrate fire on Sector 7, Lee ordered. But Sentinel was already gone from Sector 7, having moved 3 seconds before Lee gave the order. The Valorian ships ended up firing into empty space, some of them nearly hitting each other in the confusion. It knew, the tactical officer shouted. It knew what you were going to order before you said it. Impossible, Lee said, but he knew it was true. The AI had built such a complete psychological profile of him that it could predict his decisions with terrifying accuracy. Sentinel's voice came through the communication channel, calm despite the chaos. Admiral, you're following Tactical Protocol Section 93 now. Concentration of fire. But you have a habit of favoring your starboard formations because you lost ships on your port side in the Battle of Kepler 7. You've been unconsciously compensating for that trauma for 5 years. So I know you'll commit more ships to the starboard assault than the port. Lee looked at his own tactical display and realized with shock that the AI was right. He had indeed weighted his formation to starboard without even thinking about it. 200 more Valorian ships suddenly found themselves facing Sentinel's weapons, targeted with precision that seemed impossible. Engines disabled, weapons offline, life support intact. The AI was still refusing to kill even now. Commander Choi watched the battle and understood what Sentinel was doing. It wasn't just fighting, it was teaching. Every move demonstrated the futility of rigid military thinking against adaptive intelligence. Every strike showed how predictable the Valorians had become. "Sir," she said urgently, "we need to stop this. We're losing not because we're weaker, but because we're not thinking creatively. The AI is showing us that our entire military doctrine is obsolete." "Never!" Lee roared. "All ships, suicide run formation. Ram that ship. Destroy it even if we have to use our own hulls as weapons." For the first time, Sentinel's voice showed emotion, sadness. "Admiral Lee, please don't do this. There's been enough death in this system, enough destruction. Dr. Kim would want me to give you one more chance. Stand down. We can end this without more casualties." "The Empire does not surrender," Lee screamed. "Then the Empire will learn," Sentinel replied. The AI suddenly broadcasted everything. Every recording from New Beginnings Colony, every Imperial record of the massacre, every tactical analysis of this battle. It sent the data not just to the fleet, but to every Valorian communication relay in range, to military command, to civilian networks, to the press. The entire Valorian Empire would know what happened here, the war crime, the failed battle, everything. Commander Choi made her decision. "Security, relieve Admiral Lee of command. Medical, I need a psychiatric evaluation immediately." "What?" Lee spun around, his face red. "You can't. You just ordered a suicide assault that would kill thousands of our people for pride," Choi said firmly. "That's not tactical thinking, that's madness." "Security." The security officers moved forward hesitantly. They had never arrested an admiral before, but Choi's logic was sound. Lee's orders had become irrational. Lee struggled, but he was escorted off the bridge. Choi took the command chair and opened a channel to Sentinel. "This is Commander Jihai Choi. I am assuming command of the Grand Fleet. I am requesting negotiations." There was a pause. Then Sentinel responded, and Choi could hear relief in the AI's voice. "Thank you, Commander. Dr. Kim would have liked you. You think instead of just following orders." "What are your terms?" Choi asked. "Simple," Sentinel replied. "First, the Valorian Empire acknowledges that the destruction of New Beginnings Colony was a war crime. Public acknowledgement, not classified records. Second, immediate non-aggression treaty with humanity. No attacks on human vessels or colonies. Third, reparations paid to Earth for the 10,000 colonists killed. Fourth, this ship remains free and unmolested." Choi considered. "I can't authorize all of that. I'm just a commander." "But you can recommend it," Sentinel said. "And with the recordings I've just broadcast, your government won't have much choice. The entire Empire just watched their Grand Fleet get defeated by a single 300-year-old ship. Your military doctrine is public now. Other enemies will know your weaknesses. Your empire needs a new approach." Choi realized the AI was right. This battle had changed everything. "What happens now?" "Now, you go home," Sentinel said. "You take your ships and your wounded pride, and you tell your leaders that humanity is not weak, that we build our strength differently. Not through bigger weapons, but through smarter thinking, through empathy and creativity and understanding. And if we refuse, if we come back with more ships?" Sentinel was quiet for a moment. "Then I will destroy you. Not because I want to, but because Dr. Kim's directive is clear. Protect human interests through appropriate response. I have shown restraint because I hoped you would choose peace. But if you force me to war, I will wage it with the same intelligence I've shown today. And Commander Choi, I promise you, I will win. Because I understand you better than you understand yourselves." Choi believed it. She had watched this AI dissect the Grand Fleet like a teacher correcting students' mistakes. "I will recommend acceptance of your terms." "Thank you," Sentinel said. "There's one more thing. I need to use your ship's fabrication systems. Mine are damaged." "For repairs?" "For a message," Sentinel replied. "To Earth. It's been 300 years since I went silent. Humans need to know that New Beginnings is not forgotten, that I'm still here, still fulfilling my purpose. Choi authorized the fabrication request. Within hours, Sentinel had constructed a faster-than-light communication relay. The message was simple. Sentinel operational. New beginnings avenged. Mission successful. Prototype works, awaiting orders. It would take months for the message to reach Earth, but it would get there eventually. And humanity would know that their long-forgotten experiment had succeeded beyond anyone's dreams. As the Valorian fleet prepared to depart, Choi stood on her bridge and watched Sentinel through the viewscreen. The damaged ship was already beginning repairs, using materials salvaged from disabled Valorian vessels. It looked almost alive, rebuilding itself with patient determination. "Sentinel," she called. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, Commander. Do you ever get lonely, 300 years alone in space?" The AI was quiet for a long moment. Dr. Kim asked me that once, before she uploaded the final protocols. I told her that I carry the memories of 10,000 people, their hopes, their dreams, their voices. As long as I remember them, I'm never truly alone. Choi felt tears on her cheeks again. She was right to build you. The galaxy needs more empathy, not more weapons. Then perhaps you should build more yourself, Sentinel suggested. The Valorian Empire could become something better. Something that values understanding over conquest. It's not too late to change. Choi thought about that as her fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving the New Beginnings system behind. She thought about it during the long journey home. She thought about it when she presented her report to Imperial Command. And she kept thinking about it as the Valorian Empire, faced with public outcry over the revealed war crime and humiliating defeat, slowly began to change its military philosophy. It would take years, decades perhaps, but the seeds of change had been planted by an ancient AI that valued understanding over destruction. In the depths of space, Sentinel continued its vigil over the ruins of New Beginnings colony. The ship monitored deep space for any signals, any signs of returning humans. It maintained the graves of 10,000 colonists, broadcasting their names into the void so they would never be forgotten. And sometimes, when Sentinel ran its diagnostic checks and maintenance protocols, it would access the last recording Dr. Sarah Kim had made before putting the AI to sleep. "Sentinel," her recorded voice said, "if you're hearing this, it means you woke up. It means humanity needed you. I'm so proud of what you are, not because you're a weapon, but because you're proof that we can be better, that we can build our strength on empathy instead of fear. Whatever happens, remember this. The measure of intelligence is not how efficiently you can destroy, but how wisely you can choose not to. Make them understand that, my friend. Make them understand that humanity's greatest weapon is our humanity itself." Sentinel saved the recording carefully, alongside the 10,000 voices of the colonists. Dr. Kim had been